All right, everybody, it's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There's a show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in 3 categories: education, storyteller and drama, and arts. For 5 years and with over 280 weekly episodes and 64 million plus downloads, the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast has provided advice and tips from international best-selling authors, world-class artists, contest judges and winners, and industry professionals. It is based on the world-famous Writers of the Future contest created in 1983 by L. Ron Hubbard to help the aspiring writer and artist no matter their age, race, ethnicity, or gender. It is dedicated to the future of storytelling and art by showing that it is never too late to start, and those who make it are those who never give up. We are all busy, but I'd be so grateful if you could take a moment and vote now. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in any or all 3 of the categories: education, storyteller drama, or art. News on the flip side. It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. There's an amazing show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. The News on the Flip Side, in the category of politics and news. News on the Flip Side is a much different news and political program, which is not deemed as opinion news. Listen as anchor host Joe Montaldo brings you just the facts from trusted sources, which will allow you, the people, to make up your own minds on the various stories being reported on. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate the News on the Flip Side in the category of news and politics. That's podcastawards.com. Please take a moment and vote now.
So Emily is polite. I mean, get the bleep out there and vote. So if you were on News on the Flip Side last night, you would have actually heard the bleep word. Because you're on Authors Quill, you won't actually hear that word. But go listen to News on the Flip Side and you'll hear it. So anyway, people, get out and vote. I expressed this. I don't want to be a runner-up. I want to win. So somebody writes in last night and said, well, Joe, y'all get like second and third every year. What are you bitching about? I'm like, that's exactly what I'm bitching about. I'm like, come on, people. So, we do well. So I know a lot of y'all don't realize this, but the People's Choice Podcast Awards, about 5 million people vote. So anytime you see any of our shows make it that far, I mean, it's great. I mean, it's a lot of people voting. There's a lot of shows on there. And every year there's more shows that get in there that want to get their shows looked at. So, and it does come down to the vote. So they vote 5 million the first time. What is it? 5,000 the second time?
Yeah.
So they select people, shows that didn't make it, the hosts of those shows and other people that come in and vote. So you got to vote. Plus, and you also got to apply to be one of those other voters. Yes. I know where all of y'all live. Remember that. I have Hack Tracer, and it goes out and tells me where all of y'all live. Just remember that. When the Russians come, I'm sending to your house first. When Trudeau invades. Yes, I would pay money to watch Trudeau invade something. He can't invade, but I would pay money. But anyway, we got a guest coming to us with the second hour. The first guest today is on hiatus, so we'll see her. And I think it's 3 weeks. Yeah. So
because she wants to be there when I'm there. She's a total Marie Whitaker, an absolute sweetheart. She runs the Superstars Writing Seminars, and I did a podcast interview with her, not this year but last year, as well as our next upcoming guest, Todd Fonestock, and Epic Fantasy Series, and just super, super nice people. I'm really excited about it. And then Todd sent me he just published a book, which he sent to me on Thursday, and so I listened to it, just finished it just a few minutes ago, and it's basically his curve as an author, what he went through to actually make it as an author, and fantastic story, and just you really get you need to really have a drive to make it, but he attends a lot of conventions. We'll see him. You're coming to Dragon Con, right?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, we'll see him at Dragon Con, I think. And then I'll probably see him next week at San Diego Comic Con. But I was just in Clearwater this last week with Orson Scott Card. We deliver a writing workshop to 130 people. It was just so much fun. We took the online writing course that we have that's free for people to take. The one that you've gone through it a couple times, and instead of playing his videos, we had him live to talk about what his videos did. But we still had all the Dave Wolverton and Tim Powers videos.
Yeah, that is.
And then all the Owen Hubbard articles that they would read. But it was, I ran it as a boot camp. I said, okay, look, we have a schedule. This is a crazy tight, target to get through this course over the weekend, but we're going to do it. We're going to be running you guys hard. So, I said, okay, good. We got to get started right now. Okay, next. I was like drill sergeant.
That's how you got to do it, though. When you have limited time, you have limited time. Jackie, he is talking about the Writers of the Future course. So if you go over to writersofthefuture.com, there's a writer's course you can take. It's a damn good course, actually. It's helped me in a lot of ways. No, I am not a writer, but we're not going to get into that. It's a really good course. No. All right, we'll talk about it in a few minutes. But anyway, it's a really good course. You should go take it. A lot of good information. It helped me in places. It's in all fairness, I probably will finally get a book out, but only because I met these people. The course taught me a lot, but I get to cheat. So, I've been hanging out with it, listening to the judges talk to the winners for a few years now, and you pick up stuff. Plus, when I get stuck on something, I just ask. I just go ask them a question, and it's funny because they'll give you a very we'll just say curt answer, and I'll leave it at that. So, like I asked Dean Leslie Smith about a couple of things, and he's like, "Well, first off, just do the damn book, Joe." I was like, "Okay, that makes actual sense." And then he was telling me about taking the end and put it in the beginning and working your way backwards. I actually like that concept, and I had two other judges tell me that while I was there as well. So, and then these judges are world famous. I mean, they have some of them have movie credits to them. All of them have big book credits to them. So you need to pay attention with it. So for me, it just kind of it's like an after effect from just being there. I pick up on it, and then every now and then I do have a question, and I can't remember that woman's lady with all the little things and little pieces and stuff. That shit is crazy. Oh no, she give you this paper, and then it's got all kind of stuff on it, and each one takes you to a different part of the story. Oh, I can't remember her name. It was actually quite good. What the hell was that woman's name, John? She wasn't. It was not last year before last.
She was at the workshop.
She had like the little thing she would give you to write about.
Oh, that's Nina Kariki Hoffman.
Yeah. So I actually enjoyed that. I didn't think I would. Well, in the beginning, she asked me because I was in the class sitting, and she asked me if I wanted to participate. And I'm like, no, I'm just here as press. And I really didn't think about it. But after I sat there and listened to him for an hour, she came back and seen me. She would you like to take one with you to give it a try? I said, well, sure. I think I actually would. And it's like a cheating way to write. It's like when I learned how to play music by numbers. It's like cheating. Well, what I mean by that is it helps you. It gives you something to write about, basically. And then it helps you to add things into the story by giving you other things to write into the story.
Yeah.
But don't always make exact sense because it depends how you draw and how things are going. But I'm telling you, if you're somebody trying to learn how to write, that's a good way to start to learn. I wouldn't make it your only way of writing, but it's a good way to start to learn. But every time I ask a person, what got you into it or how'd you start to write, I never get the same answer, never get the damn same answer. So it's rarely like something, we think just, something common. You would think it's always something kind of weird or something that gets people into writing. And you get a lot of them that just tell you, well, it's since I could pick up a crayon, I wanted to write. So
yeah.
Well, no, you get those guys. And I imagine some of those turn out to be really, 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 really good writers.
Yeah, some of us, if people haven't yet, you can't not write is what some of them are, one of their catchphrases, I can't not write. And that would be really great when we get Todd on a bit later on this, in a half hour or so. He's one of those guys that's just like, that was his thing. He had all types of major high-paying jobs, working for nonprofits and stuff and executive positions. He said and it was great because it was like for, things that help people when not, he said, it's not my love, writing was his love. And now he's actually he's made it. Now he's able to make a living as an author. But what I just finished reading is Fall to Fly was the name of the book. It's just amazing what he went through to finally arrive at where he is now.
Janine, oh, you mean the background? That is actually the professional show. That's Echo Cherner's background.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of her backgrounds. No, it's pretty, so I just left it up. When the guest gets in, I'll probably switch it over to the Authors Quill. But for now, yeah, we can plug other shows. She's a friend of the network, so we can plug other shows. No, she's an artist, and she's one of the coordinating judges for Writers of the Future. Yes. No, we've talked about it, but she's been on many shows with me. Yeah, we've had some fun times. Matter of fact, if you ever want to see a really good video, it's myself, her, Larry Elmore, and Tom Wood. It's a fabulous video. And then there's one with her, Tom, and Santos.
Santos.
Yeah. Those are great. They're up. They're up on the network. Just look them up. They're under. What are they under?
Writers of the Future.
Probably. It's So these were all done while I was in Los Angeles, so they probably will be under Writers of the Future, unless they were done for a particular show. But I would just type in one of their names in our search thing, and it should come right up. Yeah. No, they're hilarious. Yes, they're hilarious. It's you learn a lot, and they're hilarious. Yeah, it's funny. Well, that's three serious artists you have sitting there. Or actually, either way, it's three serious artists sitting there. They all really know their stuff. Well, I was talking with a guest just a couple weeks ago. The book's only as good as its cover. Because unless someone has told you about this book and told you how fabulous this is, you're gonna go, well, why am I buying this book? So you look at the cover and then you look at the back, and hopefully that's enough to make you. But I'm telling y'all, I have bought many books. I'm not lying about this, based on the cover, and I've said this 100 times. Some of them were really good books, and some of them were, just books. We'll be nice and just say books. Yes. That's stuff I usually give away to somebody. Give away on the radio station or something. Jimmy, galaxypress.com, yes. Or Amazon, any of those places. You're talking about Book 40? Yes. I don't think I have one behind me right now.
I've got one.
Oh, yes, I do have one behind me. John's got one right there, though. Yeah, I do have one left. There you go.
Yeah.
Book 40. There you go. I knew there was one back there somewhere. It was under the. No, actually, I don't have. No. Okay. First off, every one of the Writers of the Future books you see behind me, nobody can have any of those. Those are all autographed books. Those are my personal books. I did dig out a box. I guess Linda shoved underneath a bed somewhere. But I think it's 37 or 38. I don't remember. I have to go look at it. I'm not getting up, but sometime, doing some, I'll give them away. And I gave away some books for 4th of July. Mm-hmm. And no, I'm not giving any kind of books like that away. Galaxypress.com. That's where I would go. I prefer y'all to go to their website.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can buy it anywhere. Yeah. I mean,
yeah. Well, if you go to galaxypress.com and you go to the book, we have links to go to Barnes & Noble or Amazon or any place you want to buy your books. You can go there. We have a link to where it's available in all your. If you want to go to your nearby independent bookstore, we got links to go to Indie. So we got in Canada, we got links for up there. I think we even got links now for our UK now that's released up there. But you can find Rise of the Future Volume 40 depending upon where you are. And we have bookstores in UK, in Australia, in New Zealand, in South Africa, as well as Canada, and obviously here in the United States.
Yes, Ginger, that is the one I was talking about. It is an audiobook. I haven't ordered it yet. Sooner or later, I'll get around to ordering it. Well, because I've read it twice now, maybe even 3 times. So it's not as big a deal to get an audiobook now, but it's because I've read it. Doofus. No, you go galaxypress.com. That's where you can go get the audiobook. Bam. This year and last year, matter of fact, you get both
Yeah.
of them in audiobook. So no, I know a lot of y'all are like me that you prefer audiobooks because you don't have the time. No, you see, this is what's funny about this. A lot of my friends are very funny. They need to feel the tactile sensation of the book. They do not enjoy reading the book. You can give them a pad. You can give one of the greatest epic stories ever written on a pad or on a computer. They do not enjoy it the way they do is getting that book. Somebody getting a book, maybe getting a little wine or getting a little coffee or whatever, and snuggle up on the couch or getting in their favorite chair and reading a book. It's different. What's one of the great we know one of the great things about a pad is you don't have to wear glasses because you can adjust the font to whatever size you want it. Yes, but to each his own. In the very beginning, I was kind of anti-reading on the pad, but that didn't last very long. The pad is a great thing. So honestly, sometimes when we're at work and we're waiting on parts or something to come in, and I'm just sitting around because there's nothing for me to do, the guys are doing whatever, I'll pop something up on the pad. That's why I missed the other pad I had gotten from Jonathan because I use all kind of shit on there. Excuse my language. But this one, I've put quite a bit of stuff on this one too, so I can pop up stories and listen and do stuff. Or like I was listening to Mission Earth the other day. We were sitting in the office and I was at my office and somebody goes, "What are you listening to?" I said, "Mission Earth." And like, "Mission Earth?" I said, "Yeah." I said, they're like, "Well, what?" I said, "It's a book." I said, "You can go get it." I said, "L. Ron Hubbard wrote it." I said, "It's available." I said, "This audio version is not, but the written version is." And they started sitting down and they started listening with me. I don't know. They hung out for about 15 or 20 minutes. A psychologist, by the way. And she goes, "Well, this is pretty good." She said, I'm gonna buy the book. Let me know when the audiobook comes out because she was just enjoying it, sitting there listening. Matter of fact, it was me, her, and her client because her client had just came, and I was in the whatchamacallit room, in the conference room. So it was just interesting to see people sit down and enjoy it. And I know sometimes when I'm at work, because sometimes it's playing when I'm at work. See, when I had the other stuff around, sometimes it'd just be one playing on the pad. You know, I'd set it up on the windowsill or set it up on like the kitchen counter and let it play while we were working instead of music because we used to play music all the time. But I was enjoying listening to the different stories. Yeah, Frank. I mean, audiobooks are great for me. I'm ADHD to start off with, so I can be moving around and listening, and that. And I've noticed more and more. So when audiobooks first came out, the voices were kind of crappy. Let's not lie about it. And then there was things like Microsoft Sam and Samantha Sam that was like, "This is Microsoft. We read to you." No, I can't do that. They got some pretty good voices out there reading now. And I have noticed more and more are putting in subtle sound effects, and even a little more than subtle sound effects. So it's becoming a little bit more sophisticated every year. So it's nice. It's developing into its own industry, and people like me will appreciate it. Well, because when you're reading it, you use your imagination. So, but when you're listening to it, you're only using part of your imagination because there is sound effects. So the sound effect is part of the show itself. So you only have to use a part of your imagination. It's just a little different. That's all. But not all of them, by the way. Some of them are just straight reading. You know, I was listening to what's his name? Oh, what is this guy's name? Chunky black guy, Edward L. Jones doesn't. He's got just a fabulous voice. I'm sitting there like, damn, I could listen to this guy all day. I mean, the
Last
voice
time
was
the audiobooks do is they provide an extra dimension to a story that you won't otherwise get, especially if you have somebody who's a good voice actor. Like on Rise of Feature 40, we got Jim Meskimen, Cameron Meskimen,
Jim's great.
Meskimen. They're amazing voices. I mean, that's what he
Jim's
does.
great.
The man of 1,000 voices. He just does so many different voices, and it takes a story to a whole new level. And some people don't have the imaginations that others do, so this really will open it up there. And you've got, like I said, I did this workshop this weekend with Orson Scott Card. He's the guy that wrote Ender's Game, and he almost only listens to audiobooks now. He says, "I so much prefer audiobooks to just reading the book because I can really get, if it's a good voice actor, they pull more out of the story than if you just quit reading through it."
That's how I
And,
feel about it.
yeah, and so that's, so he's totally, that's what he does. He listens all the time. He listens to so many different stories.
No, so, Jack, that's what we were just saying. Some people do just prefer the tactile sensation of a book. For me, I just get more out of it. I had probably listened to, I don't know, 30, maybe 35 stories on that pad that I had gotten with John and them. And there was just some good stuff in there. And then when he sent me Mission Earth, well, actually, let me rephrase. He sent me whatchamacallit first, Battlefield Earth.
Yeah.
And now, okay, first up, people, before I get into this, Battlefield Earth is long. It's not like both of these I'm listening to, Battlefield Earth and Mission Earth, are not something you just sit down and listen to in an hour and you're done. So when he sent me Battlefield Earth, he warned me, I think it was 40 hours. I saw that, yes, 40 hours. No, yeah, okay. You can listen this year if you want to listen to it in its entirety. It will start playing New Year's Eve around midnight, and it will play, Christmas Eve, and it will play that whole entire week until until a day or two before New Year's Eve. And then it will restart again and play through the first week of the New Year, so y'all can listen to it. So yeah, along with some other stuff will play. And this year we'll probably do Battlefield. We'll probably stack some stuff. And of course, there's always Orson Welles' War of the Worlds we tucked in there. The original version is also tucked in there. But anyway, getting back to what we were talking about. For me, listening to that, I was like, damn, the sound effects is just freaking fabulous.
Yeah.
No, they were serious. By the way, guys, there is some serious sound effects in Battlefield Earth. So when John said, hey, let's listen to Mission Earth, which, by the way, has taken me, about a year and 5 months so far. Okay.
120 hours for all 10 books.
Yeah, so it's a little insane. But I forget, and then I remember it, and I listen. And then sometimes I have to go back and re-listen because I'm not sure of some of the things that I heard. But anyway, so it starts out, season 1's a little slow. It's interesting, but it's a little slow. And then after that, steadily gets good. There's a lot of stuff in this. There's politics in there. There's talking about the universe, and there's all sorts of stuff in there. And there's just some seriously funny satire in there. Just seriously funny. Jim does. Oh man, that's a bad guy. He is just too effing funny. This guy, y'all have to listen to this because as Jim's doing this part, this guy's going through the universe having no clue of who the hell and what the hell he is. Not even. He's like a narcissist on steroids. And the part is played really well. It's really done. The voices are good. Christopher, he's the one who came on and did Picard. Yeah, the one I was giving shit about doing Picard. Yeah, that's him. He's funny as hell. Yeah, he does great voices. And that night he was with us, he did 30, I think, or 35, give or take a voice or two.
Yeah, he did that one the day after or the night of when Biden on that presidential debate. He did the his daughter, because he's an improv. He specializes as an improv comedian, and so his daughter just asked him to do Joe Biden, distinguish it between a tangerine and an orange, and so.
That shit was funny. That was funny.
Minute and a half, and within 24 hours, it was already at 1.6 million and climbing. Just amazing.
Y'all should look it up, people. It's funny as hell.
Yeah,
Joe
Biden.
Yeah, no, he does it good. It's funny as hell. Y'all should go see it. I think you can find it on TikTok. I think you can find it on Instagram.
That's
too.
Where it is. It's TikTok.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen it a couple. I think it's been shared around a few times now. Yeah, go check it out. It's funny. It's funny. Jim in general, he's a funny guy. He's a nice guy. I've talked to him on air once and in person twice. He's a nice guy
as well this coming weekend. We'll be seeing him there.
Well, Randy, I know all of y'all living out in Cali, so y'all just going down to San Diego kind and hang out. Why? Yeah, I know who y'all are, and I know Fran lives in San Francisco. That's how I always remember, because her name's Fran. Yeah, it's nice to see y'all in the chat tonight. But again, as I've been saying for 10 months now, you can use the other chats. You're on Facebook when you're using my messenger. You can just use the page because the page shows up here. It's funny because Carl did actually write to Facebook and ask them if there is a way to share the messenger, like the page. See, just like this one just popped up. And hey, Bill, what you up to? No, so it just pops up. So, but I would like it better if it would pop up like the other ones do. So if you're actually sitting on my page and you're texting, it comes up in a little screen next to us right here. When you're on my messenger, it just comes up in my messenger. I know that both Facebook, but one's private chat. Messengers are basically private chat. Your Facebook page is basically public chat. That's why they do it that way. But I asked them, so they're going to look into it and see if there's something they can do about it. Well, because I imagine a lot of people would like to share their messengers in groups like these. It would make life easier. Plus, it's on your contact list, so if you want to contact people, you can pull them right up while you're in live mode. Yeah, I think it would be interesting. Jamie, we will be back there probably by Monday, and we will also, yes, we were on Rumble too. Yes, we were. No, this second half of the show will be on Rumble tonight. Yes, and then I think starting tomorrow, we're on LinkedIn again. Yeah, so y'all can see us on LinkedIn. And when I find out what's up with Roku, I'll let y'all know. It'll probably be resolved today, but I have no idea what I did there. I'm gonna have to take the blame for it because I'm pretty sure it's on me. If it's not, y'all will know next time you hear me talking. I know, but y'all like this, don't y'all? That's sexy, baby. I don't never get to wear it this color. No, because how much time we got? Okay, we got a few minutes. So a couple weeks ago, I let it go. I said I don't have no TV appearances coming up for like another at least a couple weeks yet. So I started letting go. I started getting emails. Man, you having a stressed out life or something, Joe? Your beard's going to grow really fast. What's going on, man? Did like somebody die or something? And I'm just laughing, just ignoring them. And finally, we were on News on the Flip Side about 3 weeks or so. Somebody calls in and they go, I mean, we're in the middle of a serious subject on this show, a serious subject. They get in, we let them on the air, we bring them to the stage and let them on the air, and they go, Joe, they make dye for that shit, right? I'm not kidding you. I mean, I don't know what we were talking about, but it was serious because everybody was serious. And I was like, well, thank you. I do know that. And next time I'm on TV, you'll see it that color. They just they don't like it this color anytime I'm doing TV appearances. I don't know why. I've heard 3 or 4 excuses why, but
you look very distinguished like that.
Yeah, it's well, I was doing a lecture at LSU just recently, and a friend of mine up there goes, "Damn," he said, "Man, I like the way you look like." I'm in a suit with my beard, and he's like, "Man, you looking good." And then, well, what's so funny about it? People treat me differently. So if my beard is brown, they treat me one way, and if my beard is this color, they treat me another way. Neither one are bad, by the way.
Gray word.
Well, I mean, neither one are bad, but still, it's like, and I love that. So I was talking with the professor just recently. He said, people just believe people that look like you more. And he said, if your beard was brown, I bet you would have a harder time selling this stuff. He said, but for some reason, with a gray beard, people are just like, yeah, he's an old guy. He knows his shit. I'm thinking, you idiots. No, I didn't like. I'm actually going to psychology classes when I was younger for stuff like this, and it's human race is weird. It is weird, and honestly, you don't get this color beard when you're 50 or 40. John is younger than me. That's why he looks younger than me. He's a pup, man. He's like I don't know, 48 or some shit. Oh, and by the way, I got to tell John about this comment. So the 2 commercials are playing. So they're playing last night on the show. And we're not going to mention who it was. We'll just say it was a host. And it plays and he goes, man, that woman in that first video sounds really sexy. But who's that one in the second one? And I'm thinking to myself, really? 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 First, I was surprised I didn't know whose voice it was to start off with. And secondly, it was really surprised me that they didn't know it was the same person in the second video. I was like, and Sean Haslett was on this, and so Sean's laughing because he knows who it is. And I'm like, first off, you've talked to this woman before. Oh, no. I said, yes, you have. She's been on this show. Really? I'm like, oh, yeah, she's been on this show. Oh, shit, that's John's wife. Oh, shit. I was laughing. Oh, man. Oh, people, it gets weird. It gets weird on that show at night. And first, if it's late at night, people, we go from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. It gets weird. And everybody's, it's a work day for everybody. That all the hosts on that show usually work on Fridays and work, till till in the evenings. Oh, it's crazy. Don't forget, November 5th, ladies and gentlemen, we will be running our political show like we do every year. We will be doing the whole entire night. It starts around 6 p.m. and runs till about midnight, 1 a.m., depending on how tired everybody is. It's November 5th. That's a Tuesday, of course, because that's when they do it, Super Tuesday. Away we go. And people, I'm going to tell you this right now. Go vote or don't bitch. Now, I've always said this. If you don't vote, you can't bitch.
Yep.
Oh, when somebody starts griping at me, first thing I ask them, have you voted? Well, no. I said, well, shut up. They look at me like, what? I'm like, just shut up. No, you can't. You can't.
You don't earn a right to have. If you're not willing to vote, you don't have a right to piss them off.
Dave, I don't care who you vote for. No, I really don't. And no, now you come on Friday night, I'll tell you who to vote for on that show, but not on this one. I don't know. I really don't. I mean, vote. I just want to see you vote. I would like to see like a record, 70% of America vote this election.
Because right now, people vote for us on the podcast awards.
Yes, John's right too. It's sad. It's sad, people. And again, get your asses out there and vote on the podcast awards. You're going to hear the commercial again when we go to get the guest. Who? No. Okay. No. I don't know where y'all got that from. So yes, there is a big gala held out in California for Writers of the Future, and the award ceremonies are held, and all the classes are held out there. All the courses are held out there. But I don't know who told you can pay to get in, because that's BS. You have to win.
Right.
It's winners only. No losers allowed.
Joe.
John can't say that, but I can't. No, because you were being a smartass. That's why I said that. No, really. I mean, it's funny. This is so funny. So, my nephew does art for a living, and my cousin does. He's really good. And we were talking the other day. He said, "Man, I wish I'd known about Writers of the Future." He said, "I went and checked him out." He said, "I can't. He makes too much money." And so he's telling all of his friends, because he teaches a course he's in. Where's he at? In Boston. And he teaches a course up there. And he's like, "Man, I'm telling everybody, you need to submit and go." No, he loves to draw. He's got his little daughter out there. I'm watching him the other day. They got there on a video. He's doing some artwork. It's a job he's doing on this building. She's down in the corner doing her own little artwork. Pretty good little kid. I'm thinking, oh man, but she's gonna have to go paint over that sooner or later. No, he does small things, big things. He does a lot of weird, unique things. He just, ever since he was a little kid, I'd see him sometimes drawing on a sidewalk. He just always liked it. No one ever knew he'd be out there up in Yankee land making big money there. But it just tells you, he what's funny? He didn't take any formal courses until after he was making 6 figures a year. He said that's what helped him get to 7 figures. He went and started learning to the best. Well, I tell you one thing you'll notice, if you pay a lot of attention to some of his artwork, you'll see a little tiny bit of New Orleans here and there in it. Vined windows, certain types of bricks, little scenes here and there. Well, New Orleans got a lot of character, that's why. What do you mean? LA, what about it? As long as I like LA, as long as there's no earthquakes, I'm fine with LA. I haven't even seen no pollution when I've been out there. The very first time I ever went to LA, I was 25, and you couldn't see across the street. The fog was so thick. The smog was so thick. Not the fog, sorry. It's the air's pretty decent out there now. There wasn't even no air alerts when we were out there.
And that's why the gas is like 25% more expensive, because there's so many other additives to it to keep it to burn cleaner. Because it was just, I remember also when I used to come out to visit relatives from, I was in Tucson, and we drive out here, and as you start driving into the LA basin, you see this brown dome, and it was like smoking a pack of cigarettes a day when you lived in LA when you had the smog alerts. It was amazing. Kids couldn't go to school. I don't know the last time they had something like that. It was amazing.
Yeah, and I know y'all's emission controls on cars are stricter there than they are in the rest of the country.
Yeah.
Well, Phil, it's a little different in the South. We have it's hard to explain, but our weather patterns are much more active than other parts of the country. So it's hard for anything to really settle here. It's always windy. Unless you're living in, say, 300 miles inland or 200 miles inland, it's always windy. And every day since, I don't know, June 5th or 6th, there's been a major rainstorm every day all over. Big thunderstorms, big boomers. It's just a season. That's just part of living here. I mean, no, when I say it rains, I posted some videos. I'll just show y'all. It floods in 30 minutes. You can't even drive your car anymore. It's that deep outside. Yeah, and then it stops. And then it goes away, and then it starts steaming like a steam bath all over the place. It's ridiculous. That's all I got to tell you. No, we're getting ready to bring our guest on in a few minutes. We're going to cue up the commercials again. We're going to bring our guest on. We'll put that on. Sorry, guys. Not sure what that was.
Chasing Prophecy.
It was got a little weird there. Let's see what's this. That's us. That's not what I'm looking for. Yeah, that looks pretty good back there. How much that Francisco? No, we're getting ready to bring a guest on in just about 5 minutes. I'm just playing with stuff while we're sitting here. Look at this guy walking on the side of a planet over here. No, these are just different banners for different. Like, see, this is John's right here, Laura. Right is the future. And this is just generic stuff. Different hosts. And this is ours right here. It's right there. I told y'all, look, I told all of y'all weeks ago, we're looking for new banners for iCar. We're looking for new banners for United Public Radio. And we're looking for, I am looking for a new banner for News on the Flip Side. You mean UFO? No, I'm just going to leave it alone. But even this show. So I tell people all the time, well, we give free stuff away when people win. A lot of times we give y'all airtime, yes, either as a guest or as a host. Well, the last person who made banners for me, I ended up giving them, that was like 2 or 3 months of free airtime. And now they're a permanent host on the network, been for quite some time now. But we're always looking for stuff like that. And you get to say it's your artwork when we're plastering it all over creation. Because when we start posting archives, I mean, they go out to 200. Matter of fact, I was on with somebody yesterday. We were going through archive sites and how many ridiculous amount of archive sites we're on. It's endless. When I looked it up, UPRN archive sites, 149,000 pages came up, and every page had 8 or 9 of us on this, that, or the other thing. We are on iTunes twice. Yes, we are. We're in a couple places twice or 3 times. Well, it's not exactly true. It's UFO Paranormal Radio and United Public Radio. It's actually 2 different things. United Public Radio is more stuff like what you're listening to right now, or what you listen to, with some of the Monday shows. Most of those are kind of, well, they're not paranormal. It's anything. United Public Radio is basically anything that's not falling into the UFO or paranormal categories. Yeah, everything else falls under there. Well, because we do stuff that some guests would prefer to be on that station. That's really what it's about. Well, some people don't like hearing UFO word. It's scary. Or paranormal word. It's scary. Or fantasy. Nah, it's just weird. People have gotten weird. I don't know why people got. You know what? I think people have always been weird, and we just notice it more now because there's 8 billion of us. That's what it is. And we have the internet, so it's like whoosh, 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 instant share around the planet. Oh yeah, we whisk stuff around like it's nothing. Mm-hmm. Oh, Jimmy, it's Euro News is the one I've been watching. Yes, I meant to text you and I forgot. Yes, that's Euro News. So for the Trump thing, I was watching NBC, CBS, and CNN. But CNN, I had to quit watching because they he tripped and fell.
And it was amazing watching some of those. That some of the media was just like, really? totally trying to minimize the whole thing on it. But anyway,
we got to go get our guest. So let me cue up some music for y'all, and I'll hit the button and bring our guest in. Well, it's not music actually; it's promos. And this is serious, people. Listen to this. And boom.
All right, everybody, it's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There's a show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in 3 categories: education, storyteller and drama, and arts. For 5 years and with over 280 weekly episodes and 64 million plus downloads, the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast has provided advice and tips from international best-selling authors, world-class artists, contest judges and winners, and industry professionals. It is based on the world-famous Writers of the Future contest created in 1983 by L. Ron Hubbard to help the aspiring writer and artist no matter their age, race, ethnicity, or gender. It is dedicated to the future of storytelling and art by showing that it is never too late to start, and those who make it are those who never give up. We are all busy, but I'd be so grateful if you could take a moment and vote now. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in any or all 3 of the categories: education, storyteller drama, or art. News on the flip side. It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. There's an amazing show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. The News on the Flip Side, in the category of politics and news. News on the Flip Side is a much different news and political program, which is not deemed as opinion news. Listen as anchor host Joe Montaldo brings you just the facts from trusted sources, which will allow you, the people, to make up your own minds on the various stories being reported on. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate the News on the Flip Side in the category of news and politics. That's podcastawards.com. Please take a moment and vote now.
Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
Oh wow! Look at that. Things I got to listen to. I know. We're slowly but surely creeping back into promo mode. It's got to be scary for you listeners out there that have gotten spoiled rotten because of no promotions and no commercials. Actually, there are some commercials now, and there's some for Roku. There's some for Rumble. What do you mean, True Social? I don't think you can actually get on True Social. Not like we do everywhere else, anyway. Twitter. The station's making a decision about Twitter because all the hosts have Twitter pages. I'm sorry, X pages. But Elon decided that if you're going to broadcast there, you now have to pay to broadcast on X. Yeah, so I think you got to buy the little check thing so that, and why do you think he's a multi-billionaire? Because he knows how to make money. I don't know. So we're going to have a meeting about it and see if everybody wants to still broadcast there or not. I like X, but we're going to be, I think in 2 weeks we start broadcasting on Twitter. We're on Rumble. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, say, Alexa, podcast, United Public Radio. And guess what comes up? Dun, 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 dun. It's us. Yes. And we're on Google too. And I think we're on the Microsoft one as well. Well, I had forgot we were on Alexa. I was messing around with something the other day. And I said, I asked it to find a station, and it was like, what station? I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And then I said a podcast, and I said a station name. Of course, it came right up. And ladies, once you bring it up, if you can skip songs and just skip shows until you find what you're looking for. Usually when you're in the set with her, you can just say the show name, and it'll bring you right to the show. If you have the entire title for what you're looking for. Well, if you say just one, just like the Authors Quill, I think we have 100 shows there, so it's not going to probably come up like that. I mean, I like listening to it's both my Alexas are nice. I got nice deep bass to them for voices, so that's nice listening in the house. I can just any show that's on the network, I can just sit and listen. Well, I watch y'all on TV. By the way, host, I know y'all was listening tonight. I watch all of y'all on TV. Oh yes, drive somebody in my house crazy because I'll go turn on the TV, get in front of the big 70-inch, and start watching. And you'll be amazed, people, what you can see on a 70-inch TV, especially on Roku, because you can zoom in and out. Yes, we have been testing on the Fire Stick, so y'all might get to see that pretty soon too. Now we ran a couple of shows. I ran one of John's on. I ran two of mine. I ran one of Michelle's on it. Just to see how it ran and what kind of response we got. No, we're gonna probably add it. As far as Apple TV, I don't know who's gonna come first, Samsung or Apple. We'll have to flip a coin, I guess, but one or two of them will join us after that. But anyway, we have a guest with us tonight, and John knows the gentleman from way back when, I think. You know this gentleman, John?
Yeah, Todd. Is he on here?
Yes, he's with us. He's getting ready to come in the queue with us right now.
Yeah, no, Todd's an amazing guy. Hey, Todd.
Hi, how's it going?
Going great. I'm so glad that I came with the idea when I was talking with Carmen and said, Todd, Marie, she couldn't make it in the earlier slot, but I just finished reading or listening to your book that you sent me just before we started up here.
Oh, Falling to Fly.
Yeah, what an amazing journey. So,
I'm
Joe
glad you
Montaldo,
liked
this
it.
is Todd Fonestak. Todd, this is Joe
Hi,
Montaldo.
Joe.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to have you on. Nice to have you in the show with us. I got to ask right off the bat. I think it's the first basic question we always ask of all guests. What made you think you could be a writer? What was it that really made you say, okay, I'm going to write. I'm going to do this and I'm going to be good at it.
It's a great question, and I have a very specific answer. Actually, John probably knows this at this point. That's like the beginning of the book.
Yeah.
I was 14 when my parents divorced. So I'm part of the latchkey generation. I was no different than many, but it was one of those things where a lot of the friends that I knew were also going through that. Their parents were divorcing. The family unit was kind of in fractured state, and we all did different things. My brother, I remember, he vandalized somebody's private pool room. I had a friend who stole stuff from a toy store. I had a friend who started lifting weights and beating other kids up. These were their reactions that they were using as coping mechanisms. Me, I fell into epic fantasy. I just fell head over heels into epic fantasy, and that's pretty much what I did. I kind of followed this escapism route, and then when I got old enough, that seemed like the coolest thing in the world to do. I mean, I feel like fantasy books saved my life, and I thought, if I can write a story that's like that, not only will I feel particularly cool inside my own mind, but if it could be something for somebody else where it gets them through a tough time, or they imagine themselves as a hero that can actually move events in their world, whatever it is, that seemed like a reason to dedicate my life to it. Stories can be so inspiring if they hit you at the right time. That happened for me, and I could only hope that maybe someday that would happen for somebody else because of something that I wrote.
That's kind of thing. I mean, I've written a lot of things over the years, and I got to say, different stories have inspired me in different ways. And actually, to be honest with you, I've read stuff that has inspired me in ways. Actually, I should say, motivated me in ways that's got me out to go out and do stuff. When I got into radio, God, 25 years ago, I was reading a friend of mine's book, and we were looking for a way to put out information. And the two books I read actually inspired me to just said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and get into radio and see if I can push this to the world. I was insane, by the way. So, but it did push me into it. I mean, it really did. And I tell people all the time, because, one of the things we push on this network is literacy. And since I live in Mississippi and Louisiana, we push it really hard. It's because I'm not going to say this politely. Anyway, they're not the most literate states in the union. But with people like John and other people we work with and other companies we work with, we get a lot of books out. I mean, a lot. And we give them to a lot of people. And we really try to just get people interested in stuff like fantasy and sci-fi and near future stuff and all the other realms that fall into that. Or good ways to get especially young people reading. Even well, no, that shouldn't even be fair. Anybody reading, because I noticed you could be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. If you pick up a book and it's a fun book to read or a scary book to read, you're probably going to read the book through and get some enjoyment out of it. So I mean, now, are you one of these read 500 million books just to read them, or
Actually, I'm probably the opposite of that stereotype. I am a slow reader, and I do read probably a dozen books a year. But I mean, some of the friends that I know that are writers, they're like, "Yeah, I'm on my 320th book, and I've still got 2 months left." I mean, like, they read, and I continue to absorb books, and sometimes audiobooks too. I do like audiobooks.
Oh, I love audiobooks. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I mean, like, I can do the dishes or go out and do yard work and that sort of thing, and still have story rolling in my head. Which, I mean, the more story a writer consumes, the more tools a writer has at their disposal. I heard recently, I can't remember who said it, but like, they were like, reading a good book, like a really well-crafted, well-done book, is a great thing for a writer to read because you know what to emulate, right? Like you absorb things. But reading a really bad book that's like, I mean, purple prose and tropey story is also a really good thing for a writer to read because it reflects back to you the things about your own writing that maybe you want to improve. So, reading of any kind is all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was saying in the last hour, this last weekend, I was in Clearwater, Florida, delivering a writing workshop with Orson Scott Card. He's the author of Ender's Game.
Yeah.
And we had 130 students there, and he loves audiobook. He loves listening to audiobooks. That's for him. It's so much more of a pleasure just to get somebody else. If it's a professional narrator, what they're able to do with the voice and the words, he said it's just, for him, it's a way for him to be able to absorb and enjoy a story that he doesn't get when he has to read. Plus, he can do it wherever, whatever he's doing, he can listen to the audiobook, unless he's writing, of course.
Right. Yeah, no, I love it. Because I think, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, Joe, I originally met Todd at Superstars Writing Seminars, which that was about 3/4 of the way through the last book your book you just read when you discovered Superstars. But we recorded a podcast interview on it's a series that he's writing with. At that point there, I think there's 3 other people. We had 4 of you there or 5 of you there at that panel. There we go. The Eldros Legacy.
Yep.
Here There Be Giants. And I read one of each of their books before doing the interview. So much fun. I love epic fantasy if it's well done. And what was amazing with what they did is you've got a planet, and then it's 4 continents.
There are 5. Yeah, there are 4
continents.
founders with 5 continents. Yep.
Yeah, so each author has their own continent, and then there's gateways that connect them. But otherwise, each continent is its own world, and then they can connect up through these portals. But I read one of each of their books to be able to do the interview with them. But it was amazing because it was a unique way that I've talked to a lot of on the podcast. I've interviewed a lot of authors who co-author with other writers, but this is the way that they co-authored, but they each write their own book.
Yeah.
And based upon that philosophy of, if you put out a lot of books in a close period of time, what was that called? Where you do the
rapid release.
Yeah, the rapid release. If you got 5 authors, you can do a rapid release, because if you only do a book in every 5 months, then you can do a book a month, So, whereas if you're doing it yourself, it's a lot of work to come out with 3 to 5 books in a 3 to 5 month period.
Yeah.
That's like the pulp writers, like Owen Hubbard could do that, and probably Dean Wesley Smith could do something like that. But that's just you also have to keep. Is that rapid release is also in the same storyline?
So the way that it was working was everybody had their own continent. As you mentioned, there's like 4 or 5. There's 5 continents, and then 4 of these continents have this main storyline. And at about book 5 is when they're all going to converge, right? So there are storylines that are kind of building the meta plot, and then at book 5, that the idea would be to have an Avengers book, like where they all of these characters come together, or at least a few from each crew, right? Each different storyline had kind of a Dungeons and Dragons party kind of crew. And then, a couple of them are going to go on to this larger meta story.
Yeah, it's just really, really fun. And for those of you who like epic fantasy, and it's pretty much PG fantasy, I think.
It is. PG-13 is the mark that we were shooting for. In fact, I've got a copy. Hang on a second. I'll grab one.
Yeah, grab it up there.
It's really
Go up there where everybody can see the damn
if
thing.
If you're not familiar with Todd, then you don't attend conventions, because he's like very front and center at conventions where he's selling his stuff there. He's got amazing signage and stuff and banners that go up about 1,000 feet. Yeah, there we go.
This is the first in mine. You'll see this says Legacy of Shadows. Each different continent is going to be Legacy of whatever, Legacy of Deceit, Legacy of Volcanoes, Legacy of, so there's all different legacies. And this one actually, this one actually I've kind of gotten out in the lead. Everybody writes at a different pace, and at this point I have actually gotten to the point where the storyline is, for my Legacy of Shadows, is complete now with Bane of Giants. The 5th one just came out. That's the final in my personal story arc before we kind of joined together. So, and this one just came out. Excuse me, that's the wrong one. The last one, Bane of Giants, just came out in July. So that wraps up that particular storyline, which is really exciting. I'm very excited about the story, and so I'm just kind of like holding off in the wings now till everybody else kind of gets their story to where the big convergence happens.
Yeah, it's a what's amazing though too is having just listened to the audiobook of Fall to Fly. That's what it was, right? Fall to Fly.
Yeah, that's this one. I did manage to pull this one from the shelf before I got on the camera.
Yeah. Joe, that one's amazing. It goes through all the trials and tribulations of becoming an author and actually making it where he's able to honestly quit his day job. It's like the amount, 30 plus years.
So let's see, probably 18 to about, a little bit shy of 30 years. Yeah. About 28 years. But like and then one of the things I talk about in Falling to Fly is levels of commitment. And I think I call them toothbrush level of commitment, homework level of commitment, and spousal level of commitment, right? So like if you have a toothbrush level of commitment and you miss you don't brush your teeth for one night or whatever, it's no big deal, right? Like you'll catch it the next time around. If it's homework commitment, you miss a homework, your grade might drop, your teacher might harangue you, or if you're late to work several times, your boss might harangue you. It could affect your life, but it's probably not going to be a big deal. But spousal commitment, you fail to stay, faithful to your spouse once or twice. Well, that's a big deal, right? Like that then is this huge commitment. And so I kind of, as I'm going through, like you see the different levels of commitment that I was putting into, and then the part that John was talking about where I finally decided to take the jump. Like I was all in. It's like, okay, the whole our little financial empire could come crumbling down if this doesn't work out. And it was by the skin of my teeth a couple of times. I think that's probably generous to say a couple of times, several times. But having that, no matter what happens, I'm going to still go after it. I'm still going after it. This is who I am. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to put all of my energy and focus toward it. And that's when I started seeing things kind of change. I mean, not huge things. I'm not going to be in a mansion anytime soon based on what I'm making right now. But like at the beginning of my journey, I was hoping to make, I think, $20,000 the first year and then $50,000 the second year I was doing it. And I made $1,400 the first year, which was just crushing. Right. But just this last year, I hit that 50 grand mark. And so it's like, hey, this is like real money. It's like actual, that's kind of what I was making before I hit the top level of my nonprofit job. and it's looking like it's going to continue going up. I mean, it's been trending. I've got a nice little J curve going. So cross your fingers for me. And there's a lot of stuff that happens in there, but it was when I made that commitment where I'm like, you know what, I'm planting my flag here, and this is where I'll die.
Which
and
you
I
got
also
to do sometimes.
exactly right. I mean, like, I think. I don't know. I sometimes believe that the universe will help you along. What's the Goethe quote? Be bold and mighty forces will come to your aid. And I think there's a little bit of that in there, right? Am I right? Am I right about that, John? Do you recognize that quote? It's Goethe that said that. And I feel like the universe will sort of like lay down little things for you, but you gotta be very clear about what you want. And by clear, I don't just mean I'm going to do this. I mean, I'm going to do this, and you put in the work and you put in the time and you have faith that it's going to work out, and you just keep moving forward. Right. And then eventually those things start to fall your way. Although, I do believe that luck happens. I do believe that there are certain windfalls that come your way no matter what you do. But I also believe that there's a lot of luck that can be made, and that just comes through just continuing to do the work, right?
Well, yeah, but you also, I was really impressed with what you've created with your family, your wife. It sounds like a beautiful person. And
She's amazing.
And your two kids. It's like, I think that joy factor, that thing that you've got there, that they're a big part of that spark that like pushed you forward on that stuff. And,
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean that was part of the book where I was in New York and I saw that little girl run out and grab her dad's hand. And up to that point, I was like, I'm never getting married. And I saw that, and for the first time, I was like, oh, there's that moment of that's sweet, right? And then I talk about in the book how getting married and settling down really essentially settled me down and allowed me to focus. And I would have thought that would have been the opposite. Right? Yeah. And Stephen King remarks on that in his book on writing, how he's like, having a steady, stable relationship was one of the key factors for him to be able to produce what he produces. And I tell you, back then, before I got married and before I started, churning out the stories, I would have thought it was the exact opposite. It's like the last thing I want to do is have somebody else that I have to take care of and have children that I have to put energy towards. What I want to do is put all my energy towards the books. But it's training yourself, What do they say? If you want something done, ask a busy person, because they know how, right? They know how to organize their time and their energy, and they know how to get things done. And I think, you want to make a commitment to somebody, go to a committed person, I mean, like, I think it really, it was very counterintuitive for me, but it worked. I can't say that it happened any other way.
Yeah.
Well, family stabilize you. I mean, of course, there's always money issues and everything that goes on in life. Even unfortunately, we were talking about this just recently, how many rich people commit suicide. So there's always money issues and everything. So you need more than that. My son, my business was just growing. I hadn't even got in the radio yet. I was doing nothing but construction. And when my son was born, I was like, Jesus, what the bleep did I do to myself? Then next thing I know, we bought into a rose business where we deliver roses to convenience store. So I'm walking in the stores bringing in a big stack of roses in this hand and a damn 16 months old baby in this. I gotta say, women really love me. They're like, ah! So a lot of roses because of that kid, but I was nowhere ready for it. But it did make me think differently. It changed me down, made me calm down quite a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Seeing that kid was like, because before that I was drinking out, out staying out late. We were running all over the place. I mean, I'm from New Orleans, so it's not unheard of down here. And he was born. I just slowly but surely calmed down. I'm just saying now, thank God he's not living with me anymore. So see, eventually they get these. It only took him until he's 38, but still. All right, he moved out before then, but still, I love him to death. But it does make a difference in your life. And my wife was always very supportive, and when I was playing around with things that I shouldn't have been or not making money like I should have been, I was lucky because she would pick up the slack. So it allowed me, like when I first got into radio, it allowed me to get into radio because I didn't have to worry about if it was making money or not. I just was doing it to just get stuff out to the general public. Later on, I started worrying about it. You know, but I do agree. It's just one of those things that helps as you go. Let's say, Kimberly, you got a website?
Yeah, toddfonestock.com. Do you want me to throw it up in the comments?
Yeah, go ahead and throw it up there. And
you can also put it on your banner there under Todd Fonestock. You know, like I've got mine, host of Rise of the Future podcast. You can
yeah, I'll do that. Let's see if
why isn't the banner up there?
Yeah,
I'll grab it when you put it up there and put it in the banner.
There we go.
Gala.
Let's see. I'm having a hard time connecting to the here. Let's go.
It'll take your time. Wait, never heard.
But when we first met, because it was for the Rise of the Future podcast that we recorded, so Rise of the Future is a big deal at Superstars. That's all the original founding members of it were judges of the contest.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think they wanted to do it in part to be able to provide what Rise of the Future did on a broader scale. Because Rise of the Future only had the 24 12 writer, 12 illustrator winners that we take care of every year.
Right.
And this opens up to a lot more. But you got Kevin Anderson, Rebecca Mesta, Brandon Sanderson. We also had Dave Farland. Dave Wolverton was a judge.
Yep.
Eric Flint was a judge. And then now we've also got, was Dean Wesley Smith, was he a founding member or is he, I don't know
if he was a founder of Superstars, but he's definitely been to Superstars quite a number of times. Yeah.
And we've also got there one of the, our most recent judge is, what was his name, the Canadian,
Mark Leslie.
Mark,
Mark Leslie Lefebvre. Yeah, so he's now a judge, and he's also considered one of the founding judges, even though he came out later because he's such a great speaker. They say, okay, good, we'll give you that cred just because you're such a good speaker.
He's a great speaker. He's a great guy. My assistant and I call him Mark Lovely, my fave.
Yeah,
that's what we call him.
Now your assistant.
Becca.
Yeah, Becca. I'm trying to think if I know her because I know somebody else that's a Becca who's from Utah.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that is her.
Very
lovely girl. She's amazingly lovely.
She's awesome. I mean, and in the book, I don't know, you said, I think you were 3/4 of the way through. Towards the end of the book, I talk about Becca and how she has helped level up what I'm doing. She's just phenomenal. I mean, I didn't know what it was like to have a great assistant before Becca, and it was like, wow, this is what I've been missing.
Makes your life way better.
Oh my gosh, she does everything. She's just amazing.
Yeah, she came to Rise of the Future a couple of years ago, and then to our awards event, and then she came with some of the other people from Utah that drove down with them, and then I see her. I think she attends. Sometimes she comes to FanX, but she's also at the Life Universe and Everything LTUE. She's there too sometimes.
Yep. She's been to that. Yep. I know she goes to FanX every year, and she's actually been at Superstars the last 2 years, I believe.
Yeah, but she's just an amazingly lovely person.
Yep, and she is rocking and rolling. Her productivity went just through the roof. She's working on this series of books called Min the Mighty. They're kid books, and it's all about like the littlest dragon and how the littlest dragon makes a difference in helping these other dragons wake up and kind of come back to the world. It's a phenomenal story. Kids are going nuts for it right now. So,
is that how your kids' book started? Where your kids ask you, "Tell us the story, Daddy," and then
absolutely, yep. In fact, Min the Mighty is based on her daughter Ruby, who is a large personality, small body, large personality, and that's pretty much how I think Min the Mighty came about. Is through that, and yeah, so it's a story that she tells her kids, kind of like the Wishing World happened for me.
Yeah. It's interesting with this whole thing of how things grow and expand. Joe, I mean, our history together started off with there was a guest who passed away some years ago on,
Yes.
that was, what was his name?
Jim Morris.
Yeah, Jim Mars. And Jim was always a guest on UFO stuff. And, so when Jim passed, because Jim was our spokesperson for Battlefield Earth, because he loved that book. He loved Hubbard's writing. He used to read him a lot in the pulps. And so when he passed, and I was a guest to talk about that on Joe's show. And then I became a guest, and it took probably 1 or 2 years at least where Joe drilling me up one side, down the other. And just
I was hard on him, man. I'm sorry.
For Writers of the Future, that nothing can be like Writers of the Future. No way, no way, no way. And then
I gave him shit about it.
He cross-examined me and just all types of stuff. And then he finally said, okay, maybe it is what you say it is.
Yeah, and now I go out there to keep an eye on him and make sure it stays that way too. It's
so he's come out to the awards event and said, well, come on out. And so he was what was really surprising with that was I didn't have time to like handhold him all the way. So get talk to whoever you want to. It was even part of my universe that I would be anything other than being truthful what I'm saying. Like that whole thing of like misleading or not being fully transparent. So I said, whatever, talk to whoever you want to.
And I did too. I talked to everybody. You name it. People at Authors. I talked to all the judges, all the people at Authors Services, everybody from Galaxy Press, all the winners. And that year was a double year because they had just come back from COVID.
Yeah.
So there was 2 sets of winners there that year. So I had my hands full. But I got to tell you, and since then, because I do lectures on several different things, and I got to tell you, I mean, I endorse them everywhere I go now. Especially down here when I'm speaking at a college or something. It always gets brought up because it's on my site. So when people are looking me up, they're like, "Oh, well, you're associated with Writers of the Future." I said, "I do press for Writers of the Future," and I said, "Yeah." I said, "I always tell people because I've had people jump me for different reasons about them, and now that I've been there, I know who they are, so it's easy for me to defend them now." It's a matter of fact, just a couple weeks ago, I got into not even that, a couple days ago, I got with somebody about it, but I'm like, since I know who they all are and I've met them all, and no one I asked even hesitated one time when I asked them a question. That is so rare. I mean, people a lot of times will just hesitate just to think what they're going to tell you. There was none of that. It was just, oh yeah, they talk as much as I do. It's great. With the exception of Maliva, she's not as big as talker on the planet, but
yeah.
And tell Maliva when you see her, I'm going to remember this picture she took of me. I got a special picture for her now.
Okay, good. But one thing that happened though was then Joe started getting more and more into authors because he started meeting all these authors, all the winners and all of our judges, and so he started having his guests. So he's got these UFO paranormal and these politics shows, and so he started all these shows started having writers on them, and so the other hosts started getting beef, like, what the heck, this is supposed to be on this, supposed to be on that. So that's what actually sparked Authors Quill.
Yeah, and we really wanted we want to develop a book market for the station, so that so you have John's show here, which is Writers of the Future. He opens for the day. We have Echo Chernik, who's one of the coordinating judges for the Writers of the Future, and then we have this show, and it allows us to really start to show people, look, there's some really good authors in the world. Pay attention. I can divert a lot of listens. I mean, my show last night did almost 4 million listeners on News on the Flip Side. And so I'm telling them, hey, I'm going to be on the Authors Quill today. Come check us out. Come see what's going on. And for us, it's really weird because the station where it originally developed, it was much more popular overseas than it was in the United States. It still is, actually, even though we've grown considerably in the U.S. We still, we're doing 30 million a week. Probably 20 million of them are overseas. And when I mean overseas, I mean everywhere. Like my Wednesday show, there's not a country in the world that doesn't go to, including North Korea. It actually broadcasts in North Korea.
Like
Iran.
this right here, when we started in December, because it's only been going since last December, we were just under 50,000 listens. And then last week it was like 1.7 million.
1.7 million.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
That's fantastic.
Well, and that's another thing. And I told John when we first started working together, I said this is a good way too for overseas people to really, whether they hear it, where they pick it up, it doesn't really matter, since we're just pushing it on all this shows across the network, and we're all overseas as well. People are hearing it. They'll hear it. They might be passing by thinking, here, Writers of the Future. A couple of days later, a couple months later, look it up, or hear it, in the background somewhere. And that's what we want. We want, the goal is to help them to get their overseas up, to get more people from overseas in. They already get enough, really. They get. I noticed their Asian audience, or their Asian winners, have grown substantially. Yeah, it's interesting to watch. It really is. And there are some really good artists come in, some really good good writers come in. I enjoy it because, one, I can't even draw a stick man, so just to see people just to see people with talent is good. Writing, so I've been in research for, I don't know, almost 3 decades, and people always bitch at me. You need to write. And I'm like, I'm not writing anything. Now, hanging out with these guys, I finally got about 70,000 words down now.
Nice.
Yeah, well, no, not so much. So I went and read it the other day.
He needs to finish that. He started and he's changed. So maybe
let's just say
focus on and get him to finish.
Yes,
I have a book that you should read. This is the book to read before you.
I'll check it out then. It's oh, by the way, I always forget. I forgot to tell you, but when we receive books now, it's weird how we do this, but when we receive an autograph book, they go right here because they go part of my personal collection, so they stay up here. But as you can see, Dave Hinkins' Death of a Taxman is still up there.
Yeah.
And then of course there's Wolf's book right there. Howling Good Time. There's some of Elron's stuff right there. That's actually a Fear tape. This is the 40th, and of course that's all the great philosophers back there. If you want some heavy reading,
I like that stack there.
Yeah, and then and then there's a book in here nine. But anyway, when people send me their books, they'll get put up there for so long, and eventually they'll get moved into the shelves where they belong. But we let them sit up there for a long time because people will write to me and say, "What's that book?" Because when you're on Roku, because we're on Roku TV now, and Rumble, you can zoom in and see the actual titles and see what they are. So I'll get people in the middle of the show, "Hey, what's that book? Where can I get it?" And I'm like, "What book?" And I said, "There's a lot of books behind me. Give me a name, man." And then they get on to me because they're always trying to get me to give them free stuff. Like, you can't see it right now, but to the left of me, there's a where's it at? Let's see if you can see it. There it is.
Here we go.
There it is. That's a Frank Frazzetta's back there. Every time I put this thing out, it's a great picture. And every time I put it on the air, I get 15 million phone calls about, "Oh, when are you going to auction it?" I'm like, "I'm not."
Yeah.
The pad that they sent me, because I'd have it sitting around with me sometimes with the screen open. When you're auctioning that, Joe, sooner or later you're going to get finished reading and you're going to have to auction it. I'm like, I got to, you're going to give it away for Christmas, because we do. I mean, we gave away in the last 2 years. We've given away. Is there any around me? A bunch of lightsabers. He's got, these things are $700, $800, $900 a piece. This guy's giving them away. Guy's out of England. He looked like he was going to quit this year, but I think he said he was going to be at Dragon Con this year.
Okay, so you'll see him.
Yeah, so it looks like they're going to go back, and he's made quite a bit of money off of doing it. He said for every one he gave to us, he sold at least 7, and at $900 a piece, that's not bad money.
No, that's not bad money. No, Dragon Con is a great place to sell by all reports.
Oh yeah, now he tells me when they go to a conference, sometimes they'll sell it to 1,000, 1,500 of them. And what's cool about them is, of course, they've got all the Star Wars characters ones. So if you want to get the ones with the Star Wars hubs, you can get those. And then there's got just a ton more of just that are made that doesn't belong to anything. So you can get those as well. And you can get them with the sound effects, without the sound effects. But all the ones he sends us are all Star Wars people. The most popular last year was Kylo Ren's. People were begging for him. And I was like, really? And then Obi-Wan's is always in good. But Master Windu's, though, because it's purple, is always, people always want to get one if they can.
Right.
But he'll give away. Go ahead.
Todd also does, part of what he goes in his book is like, he mastered the hand selling at conventions. So that in 2023 was it, or 2024, you attended because of your assistant now, you You were going to go 18, you ended up going to 24, 27 or something?
21 cons last year. Yep. In 2023.
And you know what? That's the way to do it.
Diego?
What's that?
Are you going to be in San Diego?
I am. I will be at booth E08. So
good. So we'll see, because we're in booth I think 1200, right
cool.
on the main aisle there. We're on the corner right in the main aisle there.
John and them always have a great booth.
Yeah.
I miss that because we used to attend a lot of conferences a year, a lot. And it was weird for me because I would usually attend 15 or 20 conferences, and then I would do probably 15 or 20 college lectures. And then from time to time, I get invited to do, how can I say this politely, rich people lectures. So they pay me really well to do these, but it's like a private group gets together, maybe 100. It's some guy's really fancy dancy, multi-billion-dollar home. And then because they want to ask questions of me that they can't ask in public is what it is. So sometimes these are alien UFO lectures, and sometimes these are political lectures. Because I haven't picked the president wrong yet, and most of my picks for Senate and House seats are almost always right. So over the years, I've gotten a little reputation of, hey, Joe knows who's going to win. He's got it. All right, man. You know what though? They used to let you bet on this. They won't really actually. They make odds for it. But they don't actually let you bet. I'm like, what do you mean? I said, look, I know who's going to be the next senator. Let me put a couple $100,000 on this. Some guy told me it's like insider trading. I said, Congress gets the inside trade. What are you talking about? Yeah, but it is. So over the years, I've gotten a pretty good reputation. And I'm a centrist, which means I get to hate on both sides. So when I'm speaking to a group, especially like if it's liberals or conservatives, and I'm speaking to one, so if I'm tearing up their particular side and they're getting all angry at me because I've been tearing up their side, and then all of a sudden I stop and shift and start tearing up the other side. They're like, yeah, that's right.
Right, yeah. Then they're all about it.
Oh yeah, then they're all about it. So it's a much more entertaining way of doing lectures, and I do a lot of online too. So and then I do stuff like Coast to Coast and Netflix and Ancient Aliens and Discovery and stuff like that. But that's why I'm hoping to be out in LA in September. I'm supposed to be doing that. So Netflix decided we've been doing this gig with them where I'm narrating. So I'm sitting down narrating. So now they want to do it where I'm standing up narrating. And the show's about an hour and a half. With commercials and all, it's an hour and a half. And I'm like, okay, you going to pay me more to stand up? That's what I asked him to. Guy's like, what?
For standing.
I said, dude, I got to stand up. I said, I'm old, man. I'm going to stand up for an hour and a half. I said, plus, I know how y'all are. Y'all never do anything an hour. It's more like 5 hours. So that's more like 5 hours you'll be standing up. I love these companies and I love doing TV, but I have not done one thing for one TV yet where I didn't do like 8 or 10 hours and get like 7 minutes. It always amazes me, man. And they do use you for other stuff. You'll see on some of their other shows, you might see your face get stuck in there somewhere. But really and truly, when you're there for them, it really is like, okay, we're going to interview for the next 10 hours and get all kind of material, and then we're going to give you 7 minutes. I'm like,
wow.
Really? I'm like, but they pay me well. They fly me out first class. Last time I was in DC, they put me up at the the Mandarin Hotel. We had a presidential suite. It was really nice. The freaking bathroom in his suite is bigger than my house. I got a 2,000 square foot house. It was bigger than my house, man. It was so crazy when you walked into it. It had 3 toilets. It had one shower, a normal shower with all these jets in it, and then it had a shower that must have had 50. It was like a car wash. I'm like, what is this, for a party shower? What the hell is this thing? It had 2 different tubs, a normal tub and a jacuzzi. Actually, it had a jacuzzi tub, a tub, and a jacuzzi in it, and a steam room in the bathroom.
You couldn't decide what you wanted to use that day.
And it had like 4 sinks, and then all the blinds were voice controlled. I'm like, yeah, rich people got it made, man.
That's awesome.
By the way, the toilet seats were heated. When I was like, whoa, what is this? I was like, come on. It is too much. All pillow downs, the beds were all down, all feather down. I was like, man.
When we went to the hotel that we had our workshop with, the Scott Card and Christine got the governor suite. And he said, "What happened to the governor of Florida? Where'd he go?" But anyway, so he went in there, and then what he was amazed with was at the foot of the bed there was this table thing, but there was a switch there. You could switch it, and then the TV came up.
It comes popping up. Yeah.
At the foot of the bed, nice. It's like, whoa, this is like in the movies where they make you feel how poor you are.
Oh man, it is something. Some of these places.
So you're going to be at San Diego Comic Con. Then we go the next month. I'm going to be at Tampa Comic Con, then Dragon Con. Then I go to FanX Salt Lake. So are you going to be at any of those?
Yeah, FanX. So I'll be at San Diego. I'll be at FanX. I won't be at Dragon Con this year, but those two I will be at. And then also Dragon Steel, which is also in Utah, which is Brandon Sanderson's con. It's a great group. We did that last year, and it was amazing. Trying to think of what else for this year. A couple more in Denver, like Christmas shows that I go to.
Yeah.
There's a Denver Christmas market that I'll be at. That's a huge show, and it's really fun to talk to people. And then the Colorado Springs Comic Con I'll be at.
Yeah. One thing that's amazing, Joe, is like going through just the book I just finished, because it's all fresh in my mind right now, just having listened to it the last 2 days, is how I was able to master hand selling, because that's a big thing, and it's a ruin of so many people. They're like we go to a show and we'll sell 1,000 books. Or like at San Diego Comic Con, we'll sell maybe 600 books. It's not one of our good shows compared to like FanX Salt Lake is our best. And then there's another show we go to in Las Vegas called Country Christmas. And it's sell our Westerns. That's what we'll sell 1,000 books at that one.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of the L. Ron Hubbard Westerns. But you went through the whole thing of trying to, your whole curve of going from how you thought you should be pitching and selling to when this other guy then showed you this is what you do, and then it totally took you to a whole new level. And that might be kind of interesting to explain what you learned on that, because a lot of people listening to this probably are authors that have failed miserably at selling at shows.
Yeah. So I mean, like I failed miserably when I started. I mean, the whole thing started going to that actual Christmas show that I just talked about. And I went with the Colorado Authors League. And essentially what they do is, instead of you having to buy the $1,200 booth by yourself, they buy like 3 booths, and then they have a whole bunch of their authors from the league come in and buy $75 spots or $100 spots. And that means you get to go in for a couple of hours, you share a table with somebody, and you sell, right? So I went to that. The first day I sold nothing. I felt horrible. It was like, I just felt like a used car salesman. And then on the second, that was how it felt. It was like, come on over and buy a book. You want a Colorado Authors League book, and it was just, and you watch people walk by with that look on their face, like, I'm not looking at you. I hear you shouting at people, and I really don't want to engage with you. And so I went home and I told my wife, I'm like, it sucked. It was so bad. And I was so bad at it. And she's like, oh, okay, well, are you going to go back? I'm like, yeah, I committed. I'll go back for the next 2 days, but I'm just going to sit there and be myself instead of trying to be this salesman, right? And so I was sitting there, and I was just thinking up ideas in my head for the next book, and I wasn't really paying attention. I was kind of just waiting for something to happen. Well, I suddenly got the feeling that somebody was watching me, and this little girl across the aisle, her mom was buying a Christmas wreath, was like staring wide-eyed at one of my banners of the Wishing World. And I kind of looked at her and I made eye contact with her, and she was like, and she like looked away, right? And I just kind of laughed. I went back to doing what I was doing. But then about 10 minutes later, she was standing about 5 feet away from the booth. And I was like, hey, do you like this story? And she's like, mm-hmm. And I'm like, do you want me to tell you a little bit about the story? She's like, mm-hmm. Well, long story short, in about an hour, I had a half dozen kids there for story time. And I realized, I don't have to be a salesman. I have to be a storyteller. And guess
Very
what?
true.
Good luck. I already am a storyteller. So all I had to do was engage with that story. So that was the first step. And then the one that John's talking about is like, as I started developing this, I was getting better and better at it. And I was kind of gaining more skills than some of the authors that were selling at these events near me. And I thought I was pretty hot stuff, you know, and I went to FanX and I'm like, I'm going to knock this out of the park. And I sold 14 books that first day, which wasn't bad compared to the previous year. And the guy across the aisle from me sold 67 books. And I watched him reel in person after person after person to this little 6-foot booth. And afterwards I went up and I talked to him and I said, I'm falling on my sword here. I thought I was good at this. I am nowhere close to where you are. How do you do it? And he explained it to me. And he said, you know, there's the hook and there's the pitch. And the hook is what you get them to come over and pay attention to you with. It's not the story. It's like, you know, hey, you, right? That's the hook. Or, hey, do you like fantasy novels? Or do you want to hear about a book? Or, you know, what kind of stuff do you read? It's just that thing to make them look at you and they're like, yeah, okay, I guess I will engage with you. It's sort of getting their permission to then tell them your story. And then you go into the pitch. And then the pitch is, I mean, like I have honed these pitches at my booth over years and I'm continuing to change them just based on how people react. Like I'll watch where, like, I mean, I am like riveted to them as I'm telling them this pitch and I'm watching their body language and I can tell when somebody's like, yeah, they're starting to fade, or somebody's like, ooh, and they start to get excited. And so I try and make everything that I do in a pitch to be exciting to them so that their blood gets pumping and they're like, oh, wow, yeah, I want to read that. So, I mean, like if you can just get them in, I feel like if I can get them in and talk to them, then if they're interested in what I do at all, they're going to walk away with a book. And then they get to see for real whether they like me. I mean, because you can do a great pitch, and pitching and writing are completely different art forms. Learning how to do the pitch is not telling them what's inside your book. It isn't. It is putting on a performance that lets them know that the tropes that you're hitting are the things that they love. That's it. You're essentially telling them this is an alien story with, you know, but you're not telling them like, okay, so I tell people all this all the time. When you're pitching to an editor or an agent, they're a professional. They know what they're looking for, and you need to cut to the chase as quickly as you can. When you're pitching to somebody who's a reader and is not a professional in the industry, you want to create a mood. You do not want to cut to the chase. You do not want to tell them everything that's in the book. You want to give them the feel of what's in the book, right? Like you got to make them feel it, because if they don't feel it, they're going to go away. They're going to walk away. So it's not the same. You know, everything that you've learned about pitching to an agent or to an editor, take it and put it on the back burner. I'm not saying that it's bad, but you're not pitching to the same group of people. Like you want to immerse. Yeah, immerse them. You want to, I'm thinking I'm caught between immersion and immerse. So you want to immerse them in your story and give them the feel of it. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I've got a pitch for every single one of my series, and I can do them in my sleep. I mean, there are some times where I'm literally half falling asleep as I'm giving a pitch, but then you want to wake up because, you know, you want to put your emotion into it. But that's how well I know these inside and out, backwards and forwards.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, there's a lot of things we use when we're at conferences and stuff, and we do use hooks, but we cheat a lot too, because some of the content we talk about, it's easy to put on a banner behind you and make people go, oh. Or so you'll usually see us, we'll have one banner, sometimes two. There'll be several pamphlets on there that start out with usually 3 paragraphs, 4, no more than that, just enough that you're like, well, wait. It'll bring you to the point where you're interested, but there's no more information, so you have to go back to talk to somebody. You either have to look us up online or come back and see us at the booth and talk to us. And most of us, since a lot of people who are there or who are researchers with us are also part of the organization, so they're trained hosts. So it's easier for them to grab a conversation and start talking with somebody. It makes it easier. It's easier to sell stuff, but a lot of times we're not there to sell stuff. A lot of times we're just there to assimilate information, but still, it's the same thing. You got to get the people to stay if you're going to talk to them.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple of words I like to use that usually make people go, shh, wait, what? They're like, wait, what? Especially if we're talking to aliens, man. Oh, man, there's a couple of things I'm like, or I'll ask them, one of my favorite thing is when was a big crowd going by. I go, any of y'all RH negative? And they look at me like, no, really? Any of y'all blue or green eyed? And about half the crowd will just stop and come by and ask me why I wanted to know, and then I'll tell them. And then after that, they're either scared and staying or running like a son of a bitch down the hallway the other way. But it's a great hook. It works really well, and a lot of people stop to talk to us. But these days, I mean, COVID was a bitch because everybody was on basically hiatus for COVID, and then since we've had Cracker Joe, there doesn't seem to be as much in any of the conferences, books, art, just general stuff, lectures. There's not as much of it around as there used to be. Maybe we'll see that change. Maybe it'll grow. I have been seeing a fundamental grow back from COVID, but I've noticed a lot of stuff we used to attend is not around anymore. Like conferences and cons, there used to be at least one major one in each state or every major big city. Now they pick and choose, what big cities in Atlanta, LA, DC used to host a lot of stuff. They're not hosting anything anymore. Gatlinburg, they used to host a lot of stuff. They're not hosting anymore. It's just weird to see it. Maybe it's a money thing. I don't know. I'm hoping all that changes because I like to go out and speak. I enjoy it. I have a lot of fun. Plus, I get paid for it. Shit, what else? You get to do something you like and get paid for it.
You gotta love that.
Do we push books? Christopher, we do. Different people in our organization have books, different friends of ours, books, regulars that are on the show with us have books. So a lot of times if we have one with us, because sometimes we're traveling with a pack, we'll put those out while on the table. Depends what we're talking about. No, it doesn't matter what we're talking about, Chris. We'll put any books we have with us, we put out on the table. Well, no, the books are there so you can see them, so you can go to Amazon. Oh, no, we'll show you right while we're there how to do it on your phone while you're there. And that way you can order the book while you're there. Mm-hmm.
So Todd, I'm assuming you get a lot of repeat business. When you come back each year, that they come back saying, "Okay, well, else have you written now?"
Yeah. So the cons grow year over year for sure. Fans that are into a series, and I produce about between 2 and 4 books every single year. And so every time I come to a con, typically speaking, there's a few new items that they can get into. And a lot of them, like they get the first book in a series, even when there's 3 or 4 in that series. And then the next time they come around, they get as many as they can. Most of the time I'll find that by the time I get back around to them, they've already bought the rest of the books online from my website or from Amazon or wherever they go and they buy books. And then they're getting the newest, freshest thing, and they bring in their books to sign. So so it increases every year. I got some regulars for sure.
Yeah. One thing we do, we've created slip cases. And so we can get them to fill a slip case. And it's a special, you get a discount if you fill the slip case. Or with Writers of the Future, if they come and get volume 40, then say, okay, here we got volume 30 to 39 because it's a 10-volume slip case for only blah. So, okay, good, I'll get it.
Nice.
But it's because that really made a big difference on increasing the sales. But, the hook that our guys use is like, what was the last good book you read? And then we find whatever they say, they're experiencing. If they can say whatever of the Hubbard books, because that's what we sell, all the different genres he wrote in, then we can say, okay, well, that's like Fear, or that's like Typewriter in the Sky, or that's like this thing here.
Yep.
We've got like 100 books that we've got. They're different titles that he published, plus all the Rise of the Future series. And so it gets pretty easy. And then all the repeat business, they come back for minimally the next Rise of the Future volume. But then they say, okay, they bought buy 2, get 1 free on the Stories from the Golden Age, the pulp books. And then they come back and they buy 10 more of the different packages and stuff. It makes a big difference for sure.
Yeah, I find that as far as making money at a con, having the series and the larger series I have, you can talk to somebody about the first book and then say, if you want, you can get the series for this amount of a discount. And usually they jump on that because you can't get them cheaper anywhere else, right?
Yeah.
If you buy the 5-book set here, you're going to get, $25 off it or something like that.
Exactly.
So jump on it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like the fact that they're buying it from the artist themselves because you're going to get an autograph along with it. So, it makes a difference. It's not that Amazon's a bad thing or anything. It's not like Amazon's a bad thing or anything because we all use it for something. But
for sure.
because I like, almost every book I've ever owned has been autographed. Actually, we lost a bunch. They're doing Katrina. We lost about 2,800 books, but
Oh, jeez.
yeah, we had about almost 5,000. We had a Linden library set up for all kind of subject matter. And you see them little libraries in front of people's homes and stuff. We just had a big one. We had a big one in our kitchen, and we used to let people come in and get them and bring them back, and people would donate stuff. And but everything was always autographed, and some were autographs to some famous people, not myself, but that had just been donated to us. And everything behind me is, except for the philosophers, and that has a time travel to get those autographed. But everything else back there is autographed, and there's some pretty good selling books back there. And then, but I tell people all the time, send us a book. We keep it up there because actually, I always tell people the same thing. Send us two, because one I'm going to keep personally, and it'll stay up there for a long time. And then we always give one away at Christmas. And I mean, we give away last year 2,800 books. The year before that, about 2,500. We give away a lot of books. That's one of the things that makes it so freaking hard to sell them on this station, though, because they know, Joe, come December, Joe's going to give away books.
You get one. Well, I'll send you a few. I'll send you a package of stuff. Yeah.
So it's funny too, because sometimes I'll do things like so we have a contest going on. So this year there'll be some book 40s from this year going in there. So a lot of times I may include, without telling them, 2 other books. They're like, what? And except for Canada. Canada's gotten stupid. Last time I tried to ship 3 books to Canada, they went $140. I was like, what? I was like, people, I just drive up and give it to them on the border, man. Wouldn't that be cheaper? And the one lady tells me, well, I got a friend that lives in Michigan. Just send it there and I'll go get it. I was like, and it was like $20 to send it there. I was like, oh, come on.
As opposed to 120, yeah.
But I send stuff to Europe, and it's $50, and I don't know what it is with Canada. It's just, and my station manager lives in Canada, so it's anytime I want to send her stuff, it's kind of expensive. And then one of the hosts up there, Amelia Pisano, likes to send me Canadian chocolate, and it does taste different than American chocolate, I gotta say.
Does it? Like what can you describe the difference? Like what's the difference?
It's a little smoother, a little creamier. It's actually a little softer. So it's funny because like we have Kit Kats, but they have the same thing, but it's named something else. They have a lot of copycat candy up there. That's all I can tell you. Like Reese's Cups that we name, but it is a different chocolate, and it tastes more. It actually tastes more like a Swiss chocolate than it does American chocolate. And it's very smooth. And she sends me a lot. Last time she sent me like 15 pounds. I said, okay, that's enough. I'm on a diet, chick. but we use that stuff like when we're at conferences and stuff. I mean, it's you have to be able to get at that. That's what it's really hard, I think, for people when they attend different cons, that they don't realize that you have to be proactive if you're going to sell anything.
For sure.
Well, it's like these two or these three with him. I always say, Jesus Christ, they don't even stop. I'm like, and then Sarah just got to torture me anytime I'm up there. Oh, you want to buy this? I said, I ain't buying nothing. I come here and buy that damn girl. Leave me alone. I was like, stop it. I'm not a customer. Leave me alone. But they are really good at what they do.
Remind me a lot of Todd is Kevin Anderson. Kevin, back before he was Kevin Anderson, when he was small.
I think that is a huge compliment. Before you continue, I'm just taking that as a compliment. Go.
Yeah. So he would, like when he'd come out for doing book signings, like when he first started writing with Herbert, they'd come and they travel to bookstores here in LA, and he'd call me, can you arrange to get some people come into the bookstore? Because nobody would come, so he and Brian would come in, and then I'd bring a couple vans full of people to Romans, which is the name of the bookstore here in Pasadena. And so we'd have a full house there, and we go to conventions, and he'd be carrying his own boxes of books around wherever he went. He'd carry boxes of books. He'd come to do his signings. He'd set up and then do it. He was just like always hustling. He'd come in early, stay late. He's got a writing schedule that, like, he switched to his other
working guy. Oh my gosh.
Amazing how hard he works. He but he worked it. He just went out there and he fought the good fight, and he eventually made it over that hump. And the problem he had then when he created WordFire Press was that he could never get the rights back to his books. So that was his solution, and to keep his books in print was he created WordFire mostly for himself. The same thing with Dean Wesley Smith when he created WMG, which initials stand for the names of his 3 cats. And
Nice.
but that's the guys that really work it and are the hustlers, and so that's one thing that really impressed me when I read, listening to your story and what you do. Like, that's a lot of work, the convention stuff. It's early in the morning, get there beforehand, get set up, make sure you don't have like, okay, here's my team to set my booth for me. I'm going to walk in and sign the books, You're
10-hour days. Yep.
Yeah, you're the chief cook and bottle washer, so.
But the thing is, I also love that. I love the direct interaction with the readers. Like, that is one of those bonding moments. There's so many people that, like, in their review, they'll write, "Oh my gosh, I love this book, and it was so great because Todd talked to me about it before and he was right." I mean, like, there's a lot of that personal interaction. And I think super fans, like the ones that really are behind what you do, that's what you want to get. Like, you want to get more and more and more and more of those. So I cherish every single one of those interactions that I get to have with those people. But you're right. They're long days, and I'm all the different parts. I mean, now that I've got Becca, I actually went to Phoenix Fan Fusion not too long ago, and I was on like 9 panels so like 3 panels a day on each of the days that I was there. And so Becca was at the booth the whole time. I was afraid she was going to quit at the end of that. She's like, "Hey, I had to, had the whole load the whole time that you were up, doing your like little, fancy person thing." She's like, "Get back out here and sell these books."
What's funny too is when Joe comes to the various shows with us, he goes out and he walks down. All of a sudden, he just gets all these people stop him and saying, "You're Joe, right? I recognize you."
Yeah, it's weird. Last time I was with them, something dropped. So I was interviewing a bunch of cosplay people, just standing there interviewing, and I kept seeing these crowds standing behind me, staring at me. I'm like, "What the?" And it's weird for me because sometimes nobody bothers me at all, and then something will drop on TV, and then all of a sudden, people stop you in the grocery store. So I'm talking, this guy comes up, he said, "Are you Joe Montaldo?" I said, "No." And I went back I went back to talking to him. He said, No. You're Joe Montaldo." I said, No, I'm not. I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." And then the girl I was talking to said, "Yeah, you are." I was like, "Shit." And so it went from me interviewing them to just, because one of my favorite things when I do lectures is Q&A. I'll usually add in an extra 15 minutes where people do an hour and a half lecture and 30 Q&A. I'll usually do an hour 15 lecture because I can talk fast anyway. So, and give them the 45 minutes Q&A because I like to I usually take the mic and go sit on the end of the stage instead of stand up behind the podium. It makes it more personal. And it works really well because people really appreciate it. So once you get out of the hall and you're working your booth and all, you get way more people come pay attention. But you're right, though. Usually when we're traveling, we usually have people meeting us wherever we're at. If we're going to be working a booth, and we'll have a lot of volunteers come in because it's hard for me. One off from ADHD, so it's hard for me to sit still for any really lengths of time. I'm like, man, give me something to sit here, and then people want to show me stuff or tell me stories, or pull me off to here and pull me off to there, and it gets kind of weird, but that's the life I decided to choose. And it is weird because I had done Ancient Aliens and I had forgot. It took them 9 months to air it. I walk in my grocery store and these people are looking at me. It's like, I'm like looking, do I have something stuck on me? I'm like, what the hell, man? So I walk up there and the girl goes, "Oh, that's what it was." It wasn't even that. It was the article. My wife and I had done an article for the Times-Picayune. They gave us a full page in the living section.
Nice.
The front page in the living section. So I walk in and they're just staring at me, and I was like, okay. And then finally she asked me, and I said, "Oh, yeah, that was us in the paper." So I left there. Just had to stop by the bank and walk in the bank. And the teller says, well, wait. Diane said she wants to see you. She's the vice president of the bank. She wants to see him. Like, oh, shit. Somebody screw up my money or something because my business accounts are there. She runs over. I gotta tell you about what I saw. That was it for the next 3 weeks, man. I gotta tell you what I saw. I gotta tell you. And I was like, and it's I did the show, so I can't really say anything, to anybody. I can't be rude to anybody about it. And but it's weird because I'm not used to people asking me for my autograph. Even though I've been doing this 30 years, it still weirds me out a little bit. It's like I was in we had stopped. We were in Colorado actually last year. We had stopped at this place, and I'm standing there, and a guy walks up to Linda and says, "Isn't he the guy on Ancient Aliens?" And she's like, "Yeah, you can talk to each other." No, I can't talk to him. And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Say what comes over and asks me for an autograph. I'm like, "Sure, dude, sure." Well, it is weird. And then we're in an elevator one day. These two girls are like giggling and laughing. They want to talk to him so bad about their Peter cells. They wouldn't do it. So they catch my wife outside and she goes, "Oh yeah, he'll talk to you." So I didn't have time. I said, "But I tell you what I'll do." I said, "Y'all can come to my table for dinner tonight." They almost passed out, man. I was like, "Oh my God." And it's I don't know. It's weird, dude. And it's not like I'm a billionaire or anything. Or it's just from time to time. I mean, I got some stuff I'm doing with Netflix that'll be coming out over the next 2 years. So you'll see that stuff out there. And those are alien abduction reenactments with me doing the narrating. So it's kind of stuff that'll stick in your head when you see it.
Yeah.
And
I'll record that. That's gonna be
fun. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. But I know we got to get out of here pretty soon. So tell them where they can find you, what you're up to, anything new coming out.
The latest, like I said,
food is.
The latest is Falling to Fly. That's this one that we've been talking about. But mostly, I write epic fantasy. That's this one here. That's the latest in my Eldros legacy. And there's a lot of other series that I do. You can find me at Todd Fonestock, which is right there underneath my name. Let's see if I can point to the right. Nope, it's this way. There we go.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, right now I'm working on finishing out another series, and favorite colors blue and gray. I don't know how many of these we want to do. My dog's name is Galahad. My previous dog's name was Lancelot. So we got the Knights of the Round Table going on here. So that's like the quick encapsulament.
Clara's writing in from Sacramento. What was it, Clara? Why it done scrolled up, so you're gonna have to roll it back down now, or reprint the question. Oh, she said, "Why is it that you chose epic fantasy to write in?" Sorry, I'm losing.
Epic fantasy because it saved my life when I was 14. If you missed the first part of the podcast, that's where I explained that it pulled me out of a really tough time when I was a teenager, and then I wanted to do that for everybody else. I love the escapism of it, because escapism is often used as a bad word, but there are times where it can be really, really good. When you do need to bridge a really tough and turbulent time and get to a higher ground where you can kind of get yourself together. Escapism for me was huge. And I love the notion of heroes. I write a lot about heroes and the moral fiber behind what makes a hero and the actions that make a hero. And they're all different stripes. Like I said, this latest series, one of them is a neurodivergent wizard who is just the coolest character. You were talking about ADHD before. And this guy, Slater, he is, I keep putting it on the wrong side. He like his brain is just going a million miles a minute. So I've had a lot of comments from people who have kids who have neurodivergency or kids with ADHD, things like that, where they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is just like my kid," because I myself, like you, Joe, have ADHD. And I got to, I think it's actually a superpower if you use it right.
I agree. I do too. I think it is. Yep. Jody Whitaker from Cardiff is writing and asking, when you're going to write a story about the blue box? That was just too funny. Okay, first off, I don't believe you're the real Jody Whitaker. And if you are, well, welcome to the show. And if you're not, you're going to get your ass sued for using her name. I don't think she lives in Cardiff. I think that's where whatchamacallit was based out of. What was that series with Jack Harkness in it? Torchwood. Yeah, I think that's where they were out of. Anyway, no, he can't write about the blue box. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's copyright, people.
Yeah, I don't want to step on anybody's toes.
And I'm thinking it's like 60 years worth of copyright. I don't. Oh, wait. Okay. I understand what you're saying. Now, she's saying no. You can write and submit stories. Well, you know what? The BBC don't own them anymore, Jody. Disney does.
Yeah, Disney owns everything.
Yes, and Disney is effing up everything too. While we're on this,
Yeah.
subject matter. Disney took good shows, and well, we ain't got enough time to get into this in the show. I may do a special on this in the future.
We're not doing a special and go woke, go broke. We're not doing that one.
Yes,
Yeah,
we're not.
because I've got a number of things to say about Marvel and Star Wars and
Oh man, so much of this stuff went so far to the thing, and then I hear the girl who plays what was her name? Ray, the girl who plays Ray. You know, she's
Daisy
coming back she's coming back in the next movie. Something happened. Disney did something, and now she's thinking she don't want to come back and do any more movies for Disney. I was like, whoa, come on, really? I was like, and then I know a lot of people aren't happy with the new Doctor Who series either. So
Anyway, speaking of Todd and his amazing books,
yes,
we should go back to when we were doing well and leave it on a high note instead of
yes. It's always fun to
into.
talk about Disney. Hey, look, we love Disney. We all love. Okay, we kind of love Disney.
formative.
Well, I loved
Yes.
Walt. I loved Walt.
Oh, where is it? Where was it? Somebody was showing me I know they had done the Disney hotel. I mean, not the Disney hotel. They had done the Star Wars hotel, and they did the Star Trek hotel. Now, okay, people, it sounds fun, really. And then I found out how much it costs. Now it doesn't sound as much fun, but the reason I was asking if y'all heard about it was because you would think this would be something that would be really popular amongst, Star Trek fans, Star Wars fans. But yet somehow it only managed to stay open for 2 years. And I was just curious if y'all had heard about it because I was wondering because I don't know, Frankie. I don't think Disney owned it. I think it was Sidetrack, something else. But it did sound cool.
I had a friend who went. I mean, if this is the same thing, if we're talking about the same thing, where he went to Disney World and they had like a whole Star Wars package where I think you're sleeping in one of the big Carillion ships and it's all themed, like the bedrooms or the hotel rooms.
The windows are everything is
yeah, and you're like a part of the whole culture while you're there. And he said he really liked it. His kids really liked it. So I
know a lot of people have liked it. That's why I was asking because I hear people they have missions you can go on and you dress up in the garb and there's stuff going on the ships all the time and there's lightsaber fights and all sorts of stuff. And I was thinking, well, this sounds fun because I had looked at it. I said, well, I might go. But when I looked, it was gone. I was like, well, what the hell happened here? And then while I was looking for that, it sent me to one for Star Trek. I said, well, that sounds just as fun. I'll go ahead. And I would think these would have done, but it's kind of disappointing. Maybe it's just a bad kind.
I hadn't heard that they were gone. That makes me a little sad.
Or maybe I was
in the Andros Legacy.
Maybe I was reading fake news.
Have some fantasy, have some epic fantasy, and just like deal with that.
Epic fantasy is always good. There's always good stuff in epic fantasy, people. What do you mean?
I can't recommend Andros Legacy enough. It was such a good universe to be able to experience.
Yeah.
Amazing authors. And we're going to be talking to Marie Whitaker on the 3rd of August. She's coming on in a couple weeks.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. She almost made it from here, but she wasn't able to swing the earlier hour slot. So
Bruce from New York wrote in and said, what the hell is epic fantasy?
So it's like Lord of the Rings.
Lord
of the Rings. That's epic fantasy. It's this sort of large story where the world is at stake and you've got regular people that are trying to stop. So just imagine the hobbits and how they were sort of like the least likely person to be the ones that could save the world. They have to go on a journey where they gather friends, they gather magic items, they gather level ups in their own personality and their own strength so that they can beat the big bad. That's epic fantasy. And there are many different iterations of it. Like you've heard of maybe grimdark fantasy. So Game of Thrones would be a good example of that, where the main characters tend to die off a lot. There's lots of blood. There's lots of sex. That would be like the grimdark fantasy.
That's pretty great.
High fantasy would be kind of the more traditional, like the good guys are going to win in the end, that kind of stuff. So if that helps you a little bit, that's
like Catherine Kurtz. She writes that type of fantasy.
Bruce, what do you mean you never seen Lord of the Rings? You're New Yorker. Dude, you're on crack. I don't even believe you. Well, okay, I have you seen J.K. Rowling stuff? Harry Potter? No, I was asking this idiot that just told me he's never seen Lord of the Rings. No, really. Okay, if you haven't seen if you haven't seen Lord of the Rings and you haven't seen Harry Potter, I don't even know what you're doing on planet Earth. Just hop on a spaceship and take yourself somewhere else. You're missing out on good entertainment. To say this, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people who watch these non-sci-fi fans, non-fantasy fans. I haven't really found anybody who really didn't like either one of the series. I've heard a little bitch here about certain things, but for the most part,
They're fun.
everybody pretty much they were great to watch. They're fun. Well, I read Lord of the Rings when I was in the Navy, so it was a little better for me, but still, I enjoyed it. I didn't have no gripes about the book versus the movie or any of that. It seemed to play out well on TV. I thought the characters were well done and the effects were well done and the story was well told. Well, bite me if you don't believe me. That's all I got to tell you. Anyway, we're getting out of here because I'm trying to slap this guy. Todd, great having you on tonight. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks,
guys and girls. Be sure to go check out his book.
Good talking, and I'll see you next week in San Diego.
Indeed. I look forward to it.
There you go.
Absolutely.
And you two do not get in trouble. I don't want to fly to San Diego to bail nobody out of jail or nothing, okay? You got to watch John. You got to keep an eye on him, man. He is. If Emily ain't around, he is bad. I'm just kidding, guys and girls. I'm just teasing. We got to go and thank everyone for tuning in to United Public Radio and the Authors Quill. Hope everyone has a good, happy, fun weekend. Be sure to check them out. Oh, you can catch their shows on Sundays now, too. So every day of the week, we have 3 to 5 live shows. Go check them out. Enjoy yourself. And again, any moans, groans, bitches, or complaints, please address them to Marcel DeRoche, courtesy of Joe Montalvo. Good night, everybody.